Welcome to the broadcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about some of the biggest frustration points that you can encounter when learning Serbian and how to overcome them. Let's go. So people ask me all the time, they say, Cam, I've been studying Serbian for 2 or 3 years and I still can't speak. Is that normal? And I always tell people who ask me that, if that's what's happening to you, if you're experiencing that, one of two things is true. One, you have a bad resource, meaning something that can't really answer all the questions that you need to have answered, or a tutor who can't really help you understand the why behind how Serbian works as a very structured and systematic language. So you either have a bad resource, number one, or number two, you're not studying Serbian, you are dabbling with Serbian. And what dabbling means is you're just kind of playing around with it. Here's the thing about Serbian. You can play around with that language for as long as you want. You are not going to achieve a proficiency in speaking, listening, or reading if you do that. You need a dynamic, world-class resource to get you where you want to go. And if you don't have that, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be very difficult to learn. You have to have an incredibly talented tutor who can teach you with a few little books or something like that, or a dynamic resource that can help you teach yourself with the complements of tutors. So I am promoting, I'm going to say this unapologetically, SerbianLanguagePodcast.com, because as a student, I've acquired that because of these tools and resources, to where you should not be going 2 years and thinking, I can't communicate with this language. That's not normal if you have a great resource and if you're actually applying yourself and learning and not just kind of playing around with a few little bits and pieces and words and phrases. You're going to have to apply yourself. And once you begin to apply yourself, you're going to see incredible results. So even if you don't like SerbianLanguagePodcast.com, fine. Find a resource that really works for you. But make sure you identify a great resource. And that's going to be one that can help you internalize the why behind why Serbian does what it does as a very systematic language. If you have a resource that's going to do that for you, then I would highly encourage you to engage in that resource. But you need to invest in a resource in order to jumpstart your Serbian language learning journey and experience progress. Because once progress begins to go out of the window, or you're not seeing progress, you know what happens next? You lose motivation. And once you lose motivation, what do? You stop doing it. You give up, you quit. And please don't do that. This is doable. You absolutely can do it. Just get plugged into a great resource and make sure that you are applying yourself and not just kind of tiptoeing through the language. Take it seriously, devote time to it, and it will come. I guarantee it. And I'm proof that this is the case. So people ask me, so what's the process? I'm an absolute beginner. What can I do? What should I do to take my Serbian to the next level? And here's what I tell people. So aside from getting a great resource, you're going to want to become literate in the language. And it's incredibly easy in Serbian. You know why? Because it's phonetic. You're going to write things, you're going to read things exactly as they appear. So every letter has the exact same sound, 100% of the time. It isn't like English or French or anything like that. So it's actually not a very difficult challenge. You can become literate, learn how to read and write 2 or 3 weeks if you were to really apply yourself. And of course, time varies for the individuals. So once you've become literate, engage in understanding how to just have some very basic conversations in the beginning. It's just like learn basic phrases to where you're trying to get your mind in your mouth, because a lot of speaking foreign languages requires the positioning of the mouth, the tongue in certain areas. So practice getting your mouth and your mind used to producing the sounds of the language. And you can do that by just trying to learn conversational phrases. That's a great place to start. That's going to build your momentum. You're going to see some progress. You're going to have experiences where what you're trying to say comes to you with relative ease, whereas before it was difficult. And you're going to begin to see the signs of progress that are going to motivate you. What should you do next? Okay. Now here is where you want to get into the grammar. And people say, but that's not fun. Actually, yes, it really is. Your mind is going to become so much more dynamic if you begin to internalize the why behind the Serbian language. And you're going to begin to view Serbian now as this puzzle piece, that's what it is. And you're just putting the different puzzle pieces in. Before you know it, you begin to see these connections and you go, whoa. You're going to have so many aha moments as you're learning, and those are going to push you to have progress and experience the progress that you seek. And that requires, again, getting a good resource that can explain to you how do you conjugate verbs. How do you conjugate a verb and then Add in the declensions with the adjective noun pairs. Now, all of this sounds a little bit complicated and hard, and you're going to hear me say this 1,000 times on the broadcast. Stop saying it's hard. It's not hard. Anything that you don't know just requires learning. It just requires learning. That's all it requires. So stay encouraged. But that's what you want to do. You want to find a resource that can get you into understanding the why. One more recommendation on that, and I've spoken about this before. Make sure that you are mastering the present tense in Serbian before you transition into the other tenses. And here's why I say that. If you get introduced to verb conjugations, you understand how to navigate through declension smoothly in present tense, you're just going to rinse and repeat that same process through the future tense, through the past tense. And so, again, getting fluent in present tense first is one of those major secrets to acquiring dynamic proficiency in the Serbian language. Two more final recommendations I would list for you as well. One would be keep Serbian in your ear to the extent possible. Even if you're just going to go walk the dog, you're cooking, or you're just kind of sitting down, maybe you're stretching, or you just woke up and you're going to brush and floss your teeth, play something in Serbian. Keep it in your ear. Remember, your mind cannot process and synthesize things it's not consistently and constantly being introduced to. So with language learning, you want to make sure that you're applying that concept as well. Listen to it as much as possible. And the last thing I would say is, once you get to a place where you're somewhat literate in the language, and you can even do this in the very beginning if you have the means to do so, I would highly recommend trying to get a tutor. Ideally one who's also fluent in the resource that you're using. Because again, everybody has a different teaching style, everybody has a different learning style. The reason why I like Serbian Language Podcast is because I can go utilize the resources, I can get a tutor from Serbian Language Podcast who is fluent in the resource that I'm using. So I can just tell that tutor, I'm on lesson video 47, I'm having a difficult time with this declension pattern. Can we do a few drills and exercises to kind of build that up for me? And she goes, yep, I'm looking at video 47 right now too. I'm looking at the downloadable study guide. And I can see why you're having difficulty, and it's here, so let's practice this. And what a beautiful thing it is. Just stay encouraged. To close out, I would also say, and this is probably the most important thing you can do during your journey, and that would be to detach yourself from your final goal. If your final goal is fluency, don't just wake up every morning and go, I'm not fluent yet, I'm not fluent yet, I'm not fluent. It's not gonna happen overnight, man. It's not gonna happen overnight, baby. You know, no matter how much you want it to. And that's fine. That's actually the best part. This is a journey. The final destination is actually less important. It's all about the journey. And the more efficient you get, the more you can streamline the processes that are informing your journey, the better you're going to arrive at your destination. So just kind of take that with a grain of salt, put that in your back pocket for a rainy day. But just remember, it is not about the final destination. It's all about the journey. You, your biochemistry, your mentality, your mouth, and how you utilize your tongue when you speak, all of that is changing as you're learning this language. You are transforming yourself as a human when you learn a different language. With Serbian, it's no exception. So just appreciate the journey. Be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you for embarking on this journey, and I want to highly encourage you to stick with it, stay relaxed, have a great time. Learn Serbian and have fun. And thank you so very much for tuning into this broadcast. If you found it to be helpful, give us a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you think in the comments. What are some frustrations that you're having right now with Serbian? I want to encourage you and reach out to us anytime. Thank you so very much for participating in the broadcast, and we will see you in the next one.